Now, tonight we're catching up with the state-owned arms manufacturer Denel. Earlier this month, it said it could not guarantee it would be able to pay salaries in June. Denel makes weapons and armoured vehicles for South Africa's armed forces and other clients in Africa, the Middle East and Europe. It was making modest profits, but it went into the red in 2018, and it has recently been struggling to generate enough cash to stay afloat. Well, let's find out the latest. We're now joined by the CEO, Danie Du Toit. Mr. Du Toit, thank you very much. Let's start with the salaries. If there's no people in your company, there is no state company. What has or hasn't been paid in June?
Francis, good evening, and thanks so much for the opportunity. In June, we managed to pay a large portion of the staff salaries. So we have paid on average around 70% of the salaries. At the lowest level of the salary scales, we have paid 100% of those salaries. And of course, we also make sure that we pay the medical insurance of our staff and pension expenses and so on. Unfortunately, Denel has not been spared of the impact of COVID-19, and it had a significant impact on the business in terms of delays in our sales, etc. From our perspective, it is, however, a temporary situation, and we remain confident that we will navigate through the next months. We still have a significant order backlog, great potential in the business, and great people. And we, the board and the management, remain confident that the organization will succeed and that we will successfully turn the business around.
And are workers behind you? Do they believe that? Because there was also only part payment in May as well. So some now are not receiving full salaries for 2 months. How is the morale?
Yes. Yeah. My apologies. Francis, yes, indeed, we are actively engaging both with our staff and also with our trade unions. And we have been engaging with them for a number of months to explain the situation that the business is in. And we believe that the staff is motivated and supportive and understanding of the situation. Of course, it is not a good situation to put anybody in. But as I said, we are confident that we will get through this. The May short payment will be reimbursed in November. This is the current indication in our cash flow planning.
Denel received 1.8 billion rand, I think, from government most recently. It sounds like most of that was used to pay off your high debts that we know about. Will you be needing more?
Francis, yes, indeed, we have utilized the 1.8 billion that we received in August of last year. Predominantly, the bulk of those funding was used to restart operations and to start to generate the revenue again. But of course, a portion of that also went to its interest cost and the payment of our statutory obligations and so on. Our current 5-year corporate plan, we have finalized the plan, and it does not show a need for an additional recapitalization. So it doesn't assume any additional recapitalization on top of the 576 million that has been approved in the last budget cycle.
All right, and you've always maintained, like you said earlier, that there's business to be had in various parts of the world, that Denel is turning around. So you're saying that things are on the up, it's going to get better and better. Will you be in a position to take advantage of those opportunities now?
Yes, Francis, indeed. We have made significant progress with the turnaround implementation plan since the appointment of the board and the new management team. The highlights of that is we have managed to reduce our operating cost by more than 1 billion rands over the last 2 years. So it's a significant achievement, and we're confident that we can do even more on that front. Also, I want to briefly mention that we have made good progress with the investigations into state capture. We have finalized most of our large cases and investigations, and we have now handed over the evidence and the reports on that to the law enforcement agencies to take it further and to make sure that the law is properly implemented.
Well, what is your analysis of what went wrong there? We know the Guptas were involved in a potential joint venture with Denel that was in Asia. It didn't come to anything, but claims of massive corruption.
Yes, indeed, Francis. That is what we found in our various forensic audits, investigations, and confirmed by legal review. that indeed the extent of the state capture was deep and really hurting the organization. And it will take a significant effort, no question about it, to come out of such a deep and tragic situation. But as I said, we've made good progress. We remain confident. I think we understand now what we're dealing with in terms of the advance payments, onerous contracts, and so on. We've also made good progress to exit onerous contracts and pay back some advance payments that we received, and also to exit loss-making businesses. It's a large part of our strategy. Of course, what is more important is to focus on the core and to grow that core. And here we're looking at strategic equity partners to support us and help us access some new markets and technologies.
But staying on the corruption, have you been able to hand over names and firm evidence to the police?
Francis, yes, indeed. We have identified the people that were in the wrong, responsible for this corruption. There's also elements, of course, of mismanagement and so on. So our actions include internal disciplinary hearings. It includes criminal action and also civilian claims where we lost some funds in the past, trying to recover those funds.
Can Denel avoid job losses? We understand about 4,600 people thereabouts are part of this large organization.
Yes, today we have a headcount of around 3,320 people, and just over 2,200 of those are engineers and technical people. So we believe we have a strong capability to still expedite our programs and do our manufacturing work and so on. To be honest, in some areas of the operations, there are elements of overcapacity, and we will try to deal with that in the best of our ability.
Well, how many jobs are at stake then?
Francis, I can't say for sure yet. We need to make those assessments and finalize, and of course we need to engage with labor in terms of the process in detail. So I don't think it will be fair to comment on that for now.
All right, Mr. Du Toit, you are optimistic about the future. For some people, Denel is quite opaque. We know you manufacture arms. South Africa not at war, not likely to go to war anytime soon. You have other opportunities. Just tell us some of the exciting products, some of the exciting things that you're involved in right now.
Yes, Francis, indeed. I think it's important that South Africa understands what our business is and what we are all about. And Denel is in the business of keeping South Africa safe and, to make sure that our country is protected. So we provide many of the key and critical equipment to the South African National Defence Force, to the South African Police Services for their operations. And these are typically used for a number of operations, so typically border protection. Our Rooivalk helicopter, as an example, is extensively used in Central Africa on peacekeeping operations, and then also in humanitarian operations. When we had floods in KwaZulu-Natal, for example, it was the Denel Oryx helicopter that is used. Those products are designed, developed, manufactured, and supported by our phenomenal people in Denel that we're very proud of.
Finally, you've said that if Denel fails, that would be actually a national safety risk. Just explain why.
Yes, indeed. Denel has the responsibility. We are the custodians of very important military technology in terms of the sovereign and strategic capability of the country. And on top of that, we have quite a significant like 15,000 people in the South African defense industry that is dependent on work that we flow down and subcontract to the rest of the players in the defense industry. And I think it's well known that most countries take care of their strategic capabilities, and it's important to have that capability in your own country and not to be dependent, especially during a wartime, on some foreign supplier, and security of supply becomes a key consideration. But also, we do a lot in terms of medical ventilators, as you saw now. We have other industries that we support. So a lot of what we call spin-off technologies are used in other areas and other industries. And they're born in the defense industry.
And very quickly, because government did talk about Denel providing ventilators, are those up and operational at the moment?
We currently have 3 different projects in Denel. We have ventilators that are ready for testing, and that will be presented to the authorities soon to be tested and verified. Of course, they have to go through a very stringent process of qualification and verification. We have the ranges from a basic ventilator up to quite a complex ventilator. And we're looking forward to, to support the pandemic and the desperate need to support that in the next weeks.
All right, we'll follow that. Thank you very much, CEO of Denel, Danie Du Toit. We take a short break, lots more to come, and of course we'll be speaking to the incoming Vice-Chancellor of Wits University.